Let's continue with the next two speakers. I want to introduce first Mario Benito, who grew up in Polowat in the Caroline Islands in the Northwest Pacific. Mario is a member of the Houpolowat clan and its canoe house Utt Wenimai. He also belongs to Utt Wenipukuw. Mario was educated in the Weriyeng School of Navigation and as a child studied under some of the most famous and revered old-time navigators from Polowat, including Hipour, who sailed with David Lewis, for instance, and Manipy Onopey. As an adult, Mario studied with the late Pwo Onopey and Rainam Edward. He's been a cameraman, photographer, and archivist in Polowat for a long time, for instance, shooting the sacred vessels, navigating traditions and identity in Micronesia films that some of you may know. Since he's moved to Saipan in the Northern Marianas, he's basically been an informal ambassador to the seafarers there and helped building the Lien Polowat in 2012, which later sailed to Guam and its final resting place at the Oceanic Cultures Museum in Okinawa in 2013. In 2016, he was ordained as a Pwo Navigator during the Festival of Arts in the Pacific in Guam. He's one of 5 ordained at that time, and he is one of the most important Maitai knowledge holders in Oceania today when it comes to traditional navigation techniques. He is here with his son. Intergenerational learning is so important in the cultures that we're talking about, who go back centuries and millennia ago based in oral transmission of knowledge. His son is Lolo Benito. Lolo means the lucky one, name derived from a particular chant that Mario would use before entering into any gathering. Mario and Benito live in Saipan, in the Northern Marianas. Lolo Byung's mother is Rose Benito. Together with his parents, he's been raised to love the ocean and the land and to explore the bounties of what both life on the ocean and life on the land can bring. He's a farmer. He's got a whole bunch of cows, more than 100, I think, pigs and everything else. When he was 15, he was taken out to sail with his dad for the first time, and since he's been trained, and the story he tells us that his father's a really lovely guy, and we got to know him really well over the past couple of days, but he's really tough and very strict dad when they're on ship together. And together they're trying to ensure that their ancestors' legacies, and Lolo tries to make sure that its dad's legacies is carry on to the next generation, and that they will be able to teach a new generation about their traditions. Their dream is to build, together with the organization 500 sails out of Saipan, a fleet of 500 new proa canoes for the region, because it's been 500 proas that in the 18th century the Spaniards had seen running around Saipan there. Please welcome Mario and Lolo Benito to the stage. Mario, will you go first, as always? And then Lolo will come on.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks, Lars, for the nice introduction. I don't really feel good today, but I think I'm just gonna play the video, and then I'll talk with the. But yeah, so which one is this? The green one, right? Okay. Okay. This is, like when we made the Lien Polowat. Lien Polowat means Miss Polowat. Here's one of the master carver and Pairoro. When we to Lien Polowat, that's the canoe that Lance was talking about. That like we take it to Okinawa for the Oceanic Museum in Okinawa in 2012. And as you can see, like working on this canoe, carving this canoe, we're using the hand tools. There's no power tools back home because we don't have power. That's why we build canoe and every time like we're gonna cut down a tree for a canoe, there is a ritual that like you say it before you cut it down a tree, as even American guy, he come and help us on this project to pay respect to the environment. Everything that like we do back home, we always pay respect to the sea, to the land, even to the ladies. And here is Kyoko. She is one of the director for the project, Lien Polowat. Just cutting it down the tree, it's take time. And it's take a lot of work, hard work. You have to have muscle. Yeah, when you cut down a tree for a canoe, sometimes there is, like, see the charcoal? He was using it for, because we don't even have marker. And, like when you cut down a tree for canoe, you're talking about a big, big tree. And then sometimes, like, it fall down on another trees like coconut, and then it breaks, like the other trees behind it. So that's why, like you have to know where to cut the trees, so where, like to land it. And here's one of the well-known master navigator, Rappi Aliway. See the marker that they use it from charcoal, and then they put in a coconut shell, and they use the sap from, not sap, but from the coconut. And then that's what you use it. You put in it's like ink. And for building these canoes, you have to, like measure it right. There is, like a very detailed measurement for the canoe. But since, like we don't have a measurement like tape rule or, the measurement stuff, we use our hand. Every part of your body you use for measurement. Like, for example, 1, 2, that's how, like you measure. And then if it's, like more than that, you use this, your finger. 1, 2, and then if it's finished with that, but it's very small, then you use your finger. 1, 2 fingers, 3 fingers. And this is the parking lot canoe. Everybody, like still using, use canoe. If you're gonna come on the other side to work on this canoe, so they have to, like use the canoe to paddle across the lagoon. And this one, the eye of the canoe is very important. Now, like they put it up at the end of the canoe. Measurement again, very, very important measurement. If you got the right measurement of the canoe, then, like it depends, the speed depends on the measurement of the canoe. Now it's getting there. But there is a lot of work, into this kind of project. And here is all the carver for the Lien Polowat. This canoe, we sail it to Guam, 2000. Oh, anyway, this is when, you make the sap that's from the breadfruit trees. It's like a clue. And then, you put in the water, you massage it, and then you put in, before they used the coconut shell. But now, since, we have, plastics, and then that's how they apply it. They burn it to melt it, and then they put on the hull. And now they put everything together. See, it's like fine. Just disregard those. And making the rope. When you make the rope, you have to, you make it from the coconut. You husk the coconut, and then you bury it in the sand for a couple of months, 3 months, 4 months, and then you dig it up again, and then and then after, it's ready, you dig it up, and then you roll it on your what's this, on your legs, or and then that's how it looks like when it's finished. Okay, now they're making the sail. As Petty say, they made the sail from the pandanus tree. So that's the ladies' role in making the canoe. Same thing as the Solomon Island people. Ladies are the one that they weave the mat or the sail, and then they cook the food for the builders every single day. And then when they bring the mat or the sail, men put them together. As you can see, it's finished. And that's how it looks like. And everything that we use on this canoe is locally made, except that motorboat over there. But look how beautiful my island is, huh? It's beautiful. Isn't it beautiful? Okay, first try. It's beautiful than, I don't know, I'm not going to name it. But okay, this is when, after they finished the canoe, they made they call it aim. It's like the house for the passenger if they take a lady or a kid on the canoe. This is how they do it. And that's for the master navigator too, it's going to lay down and steady, but here, when, you go out, this is like a long distance voyage. If you're going to go out, you have to do some ritual too, to ask the ocean to forgive you, or now he's going to bring it back, it's like for the offering for the school representative. And even, pull up your anchor, that's the anchor, when you're going to pull up the anchor, you have to, say some chant. When you're going to leave, see that conch shell, in his hand? He's trying to, ask for forgiveness to the land and to the water. And thank you very much.
Holy moly, this is a big crowd. Man, where do I start? Well, I just want to reintroduce myself again. I am Lalapiyang Valentino Rupes Benito. I am the son of my father, Mario Benito, master navigator of our island Polowat. And what am I going to be talking about today? So I'll just be talking about 500 cells and what I do and why am I here in the first place. So why am I here in the first place? Well, I'm a youth leader back in my island of Saipan, and I also do traditional carving and sailing under my dad's wings. So it's pretty tough. It's really tough to be learning, especially from your father. It's like he's your personal drill instructor. So yeah, it's pretty serious, especially when it comes to maritime tradition in our culture, because seafaring knowledge is really important to us. So the way that my dad teaches me is that you have to make sure that you know what you're doing. You have to know everything about it. You can't play around during your teachings, because that's how important it is to us. It's sacred, if I were to say. So I'm here today to talk about our company, nonprofit organization 500 Cells, and what we do in 500 Cells. How do I just press it, right? Oh. So, one more? Okay. Okay, so our nonprofit organization, 500 Cells, our main goal is we are trying to promote, preserve, and revive the maritime tradition in the Marianas Islands. Well, the reason to that is because we're slowly losing it. We're slowly losing our knowledge about the ocean, our knowledge about seafaring, and we're trying to bring that back. So the way that we do it is that we have like a bunch of cultural activities, from sailing, weaving, tying knots, and learning about the stars. It's like so much things for the whole community to be a part of. So that's what we do. And we also offer like canoe sales and wide varieties of how would I say this, vocabulary, like how we teach them about our native tongue, how we speak it, and what you call that. It all started because of our co-founders, Emma and Peter Perez. The whole reason why we call it 500 Cells is because in 1742, there's this sketch for the Chamorro flying proa, the Anson drawing, and it dated back where they counted about 500 canoes that were sailing around the Pacific in our lagoon in Saipan. So that's where we got the name 500 Cells. And by saying that, it actually started by this guy named Mario Sacman Borja. He was the very first person to make a canoe, a Chamorro canoe, a 42-foot canoe called Chelo, and he made it in San Diego, right? That was in San Diego, yeah. San Diego. So from there, like, we had a head start, and our co-founders, Pete and Emma Paris, they decided, like, wow, since he can do it, we can do it too. So the only thing that is different is that our canoe is made out of fiberglass. The reason to that is because, like I said before, our island is slowly losing our culture. It's starting to become like a concrete jungle. There's barely any trees now. There's very, very little coconut trees, breadfruit trees, and we mainly use breadfruit trees to make the canoes, and we don't really have that much anymore, especially because of all these buildings that are going up into our islands, all the new buildings that are taking up all the spaces. So we decided that the best way for us to do it is to make it out of fiberglass. And so by making it out of fiberglass, it's pretty hard. It's pretty new to us, especially because I'm trying to do it the more traditional side. Yes, it's really good. I would say that it's like a new way for me to learn how to make a canoe. So it's an honor to do that. And by making it out of fiberglass, oh wow, it's just so much for me to learn from. And it's hard, especially me and my dad, because we're pretty new. Like, we have all of these new things that are coming up, like how to laminate your canoes, infusing your panels, all those stuff. But the way that my dad teaches it is like you use your local tools. Local tools that we use are also called the hele. It's like an axe, where you use it to carve the canoe. And that way, like we always have to make sure that we take our time to carve the canoe, especially when we're going to do it the traditional way, because it's really special to us how we make a canoe. It's sacred. You have to really take your time. You cannot mess around while you're going to make that canoe, because why are you even going to make a canoe in the first place if you're not going to be serious about it, right? So to us, it's really important. And we have two indigenous people in the island of Saipan, and that's the Chamorros and the Carolinians, or as we can say, the Refaloas or Refanuar people. And those two, we work together to try and bring back the maritime tradition, our culture, our canoes, the Chamorros canoes. So they asked us Carolinians for help, because after they colonized Saipan, they lost half of their history about the canoes, who they were, how do they sail. So they decided, like, let's go to our other brothers, right? Brothers and sisters, the Carolinians. We need their help, because they know about their knowledge about the sea, about how to sail. So we did that, helped them out. And that's when we started growing together, having a connection. And in our island, we say tipieo. Tipieo means to be together as one, to become a family. And that's what we're trying to do. And if you can't be a family, nothing's going to work out. You cannot fix your canoes. You cannot be there. You cannot, how do I say this? You cannot learn. You cannot protect your culture if you guys are not a family. So by that, this is my presentation about my nonprofit organization, 500 Cells. Thank you.
Mari, I also want to take a seat on the sofa. We are running behind time, and it's really a shame that there's so little time allocated to the speakers. I mean, we've heard a lot from Mari and Lolo also about their star compass, how it relates to the winds, moon calendar, and all stuff to do with navigation practice, actually, but no time for that here. We can take two questions. And remember that there will be a final panel where everybody will be on stage, and I think we'll open this immediately to questions. So if you don't get your chance now, there's a chance to ask a question later. Lina and Laura will hand round the mics. Are there any questions? There's one in the back.
I'm Michelle. I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming and attending. And I really applaud your efforts on adaptability. And I suppose my question is, how do you feel like you will continue to adapt after today? There are a lot of people in the audience who know about RIN, and there are people who perhaps may join the RIN after today's sessions. And I kind of wondered how you think working with RIN and the people in the room may come after today and after all of these presentations.
RIN is Royal Institute for Navigation.
So I think, thank you, by the way. I would say like having your guys' support here is like one of the many ways that we can have a head start in progressing in our program. And we're still trying to figure out how are we going to progress in the first place, because this whole 500 Cells is still pretty new. And I think by having everybody's support, trying to help us out in that, like, it will really help all of us in the Marianas Island, in Saipan, to start spreading, about who we are, what we do, and from there, like, baby steps. baby steps. Start growing, and pretty soon we're gonna be so big. And that's what we're trying to do. As of right now, we're still thinking of ways about how we're gonna work towards the latter. Thank you. Any more questions?
Sorry, it's just a quick question.
I think they're recording, and that's why it's important to just
sorry,
take
yeah.
the mic.
Do you have a website or contact details that if anyone, people interested here today want to find out more or get in touch?
Yes, so actually, like, you can go basically anywhere on the website, and you can just type in 500sails.org, and from there it's gonna have like a wide variety of lists that what we do, who we are, what's our main goal. Like, it shows a list about how we sail, the events, the schedules about when do we sail. We also put up programs that we do for the community, and there's this one program that we call the Lalazak program, and that Lalazak program teaches youth and even people up to the age of 50 or 60, because there's actually that much people. So it teaches the community about how to sail a canoe, the proper way of rigging the canoe, the cultural dances, how to speak your native tongue, swimming, because if you don't know how to swim, why are you going to be in the canoe, right? So yeah, that's one of the many programs that we have. And there are some other programs, including the Sirena project, and it's for women. Women, they teach them about how to sail, how to swim, because we're trying to come into a new generation where even the ladies are allowed to be in the canoe, because back then it was mostly the men that had to sail, and it's like, the ladies are the one that has to stay back and hold the knowledge. They're the keepers of the knowledge. So yeah, just go on to 500sails.org and you'll see everything from there.
Thanks so much. Please give a round of applause to Mari and Lolo. There's food and snacks outside, and we checked back with the organizers. In the interest of just getting more out of the delegation who's here, we cut that break to 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Drink and eat fast and come back in. What's that? 3:05? I can't read the clock. 3:10. 3:10. We continue.
Before I go on the...
Okay, everyone. We're on a tight schedule, so I'm trying to get everybody to come back inside and take a seat. So while you're sitting down, I'll just try and give you a sense of what's ahead. There will be 2 more presentations. There will be 2 more presentations. You're much better than my students, so that's all right. Just to give you a sense of what's ahead, there will be 2 more presentations, and then all of the guests, the honoured guests, will be coming to the front again for a round table where they will be joined by Hugo Spears, whom I'll introduce when that happens, for a final round on ancestral navigation and its it's how amazing that really is and how it also matters to neurosciences, for instance. But before we get there, there's much to look forward to as well. It is absolutely amazing and wonderful for me to introduce Sanakoli John, co-founder of Pasana Group, Papua New Guinea's first traditional canoe building school. Sanakoli was born into the Dove clan of Pasaliki Island in Milne Bay, Papua New Guinea. He would travel with his family on traditional sailing canoes known as sailau as soon as he could walk. In Pasaliki and sailau, the sailau is used for fishing, transport, and the traditional kula trade system that connects the outer islands of Milne Bay. Sanakoli is one of the most well-known, I think probably the most well-known sailor of the region. In 2015, he won the national Canoe and Kundu canoe race. And in 2017, together with 2 other crew, he did something that had been done once before, but he completed the first ever, hadn't been done before, the first ever recorded circumnavigation of the island of New Guinea in a traditional sailing canoe, a voyage that spanned 6,300 kilometers and was done in 13 months across borders, crazy winds, lots of adventure, and just an amazing feat. He has co-founded the Pasana Group to teach traditional canoe building skills and sustainable livelihood practices to the youth of Milne Bay. I think Sanakoli has many dreams, but one that you've been talking about constantly is to collaborate with other Pacific voyaging groups so that the traditional sailing canoes of the Pacific could begin to connect again the different regions of the Pacific across borders. And that's sort of one of the stories that stay with me from you, Sanakoli, how hard the borders are actually making it, not just to connect in the region, but also for you to come here and just be able to share this story, how hard it actually is to cross those borders. Sanakoli's dream is to make that possible, so as to enable teaching of sailing, but also around sustainable living in the region. Sanakoli, thank you so much for being here and come to the stage.
Firstly, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, I'm Sanakoli John from Milne Bay Province, Papua New Guinea. I want to introduce my sailing canoe, or sailau. Sailing canoe is called a sailau, in modern way of calling our traditional canoe. Sailau is popular in Milne Bay that connects us to other islands. But on that island, in this region, we have our own way of making canoes, sailing canoes. But they mean that it's our way of making canoes, but we call them as sailau. We have our own original names locally, but in modern we call them all sailau because we use them to transport to go out fishing, to carry out with our culture activities. Sailau was formed, come up in popular in 1976 that my own father, John Molele, has built this sailau in my island, Basilaki Island. Sailau operate 1976 to 85, then it start to decrease again. 85 to 2005, more down. That's why I'm here to speak about my culture. In the activities of sailau, this is what I do. I'll show you my culture that operated in my province, my traditional money.
Watu wasagege. Una mai wana utobora ngene watu mai wana bebe. Ikutomo takatame. Bela tamu wana usibuni.
Toki tua tuta runa mana bodi. Kalau nya tua posama na lagi ono batata ge parude. Ila uya asibu sibe ila ila asibu. Dete be uya doine. Uya doine ta ne gasi. Ila ai ala asibu na kama idi mulia na tasmia to gasi. Desi awal. Udah, ramai. Orang kan kanu bagus, nanti aku penau.
That is the principles of Kula. Number one is to respect, right? Two, have the attitude of sharing and loving. People are just giving without demanding for anything else, and they'll be just giving out anything that is hidden from the family. It is for the family, but they have to give because that is the power of hospitality.
Yeah, this whole idea did not come from me. I came.
These are the activities I use to connect with other islands with Sailam. Okay, the Sailam operate in that islands, but that's not the real. It's extends more. So Sailam connects us all through this group of islands and connect us with cooler trade. In 2016-15, when I used Sailam to win the race in my province, and I meet a Danish filmmaker, Thor F. Jensen, and he asked me to navigate the New Guinea island with my traditional canoe, and I give him all right. I said, okay, because I want to get my heritage back and teach my youths in my country. Because at this moment, I'm not out in the world yet. This is my first time. Thank you. So, in the voyage, in those activities, we must know how to build canoes before we go out. Because on the voyage, when our canoe breaks down, how we can fix it, how we can navigate with. So this, I'll show you how I act in my voyage. The length of it is all right, but after right at the top, it's really it's too small. But we'll just see, Justin will come and see and what will say to us.
So what do you think?
Yeah, it's the right one.
We're gonna take the outside one out, the hard one. And we'll be getting only the inside one, the soft and light.
Lunch break.
All right.
Ma, tiga aja batang. Lu. Lu kan go. Apa batang ini go?
So what do you think, Justin? Is it finished now, or?
Yeah, it is now.
I was taught by my father and my ancestors that I must cut the right trees that they taught me. I must not cut unnecessary trees to build my canoe. Thank you all. Go on. We want to uplift our province and our country. How will I survive in the sea on my journey with nature, and how can I tell to survive? I complete the journey at October 28th of October 2017, covering 6,300 kilometers within 13 months, 21 days. So I formed my group. It's called Pasana Group. Pasana means it's a flower or a beauty that attracts something to like you or get interest to you. That's what Pasana means. Now, I'm here standing, representing my culture for Milne Bay. I have cultures, traditional canoes in Milne Bay, but never shown out in the world. This is my first time to show out in the world and in the Western countries as a Sailao. in traditional transport in Milne Bay. And I have some traditional money is in Milne Bay that connects us in the oceans of Pacific. All my chiefs, my community leaders now failed to join me and run Pasana group to teach my youths again, to revive our culture. In the beginning I said it's dropping down and it's fading away because of the system of engines. I have experience in 2019 when the COVID-19 strikes. We are all full block up. Our dinghies cannot run because of Zoom problem. Getting into touch to the towns, not much. All the machines pulled up. That's why I'm here to rebuild my culture that can save my youths in future. To navigate with modern technical knowledge, and when these things break down in such ways, then they can use their traditional navigation to complete and survive. So I'm so proud, and I to stand here, speak on behalf of my culture. But my question is, how will I run this school? I'm more interested to join the museums in the world to run this or teach in the future. At this moment, I am looking forward to start our festivals, mini festivals in our province, in our islands. Just like Pasana, I'll be hosting a mini festival in Nuakata Island this year in August. But how will I succeed? My dream succeed. So, thank you so much for listening.
So we have time for one, maybe two questions if you're super quick, and then just as a reminder, there will be the final big round in the end when questions can also be asked. But if you have a question, direct question for Sana now, this would be a moment.
Any questions? Yes.
For your trip around the island, did you have to stop because of specific seasons, when the wind was good or when the wind was bad?
Yes, on my voyage, I have so many problems. On financial problems and weather problems. But I want to do it. Because I operate with my own knowledge that my ancestors and my father has taught me when I was young. Thank you.
Thank you.
How long does it take to make one of your canoes?
Building and sailing canoe takes 6 to 8 months, because we have to all different sizes and types of tree that form together to make a silo. So it takes months. If every day I'm working on this sailing canoe, and if I miss some days and some weeks, it takes me a year. Thank you. Thank you.
So we move on to the final presentation of today, and I'll be introducing Setareki Ledua to you in a moment, but just wanted to say that I think it's very fitting in a way that you speak last, because coming with you here, Setareki, has been special. We went through the Encounters exhibition, and there's the drawer built by your dad and by your uncle, and we were listening in on a tour that was given of the drawer, and I just thought, wow, if that tour guide knew who's listening in on what he has to say about this beautiful, beautiful drawer. As a child, Setareki lived with his grandparents on Fulaga Island in the Lau group of Fiji. They took him sailing between the islands on traditional Kamakau vessels. He went on to school and then studied at the Fiji Institute of Technology, studying both modern and traditions of maritime navigation. He's a certified New Zealand CD day skipper and boat master, and in 2011, Setareki embarked on a 2-year voyage from Fiji to United States of America through New Zealand, French Polynesia, Hawaii Island, and San Francisco, down to the East Coast, all the way to Mexico, Cocos Islands, Galapagos, and back to the Pacific. Setareki has sailed more than 80,000 of sea miles, which is equivalent to twice around the globe. He has a master in engineering. He's the the captain of the only sailing traditional Fijian drawer, Iwola Singavau, and that's what you're going to tell us about mostly. And he's the executive director of Drawer Sailing Experience in Suva, Fiji. Please join me in welcoming Setareki.
Minutes ago. Thank you. Buluvinaka, just to add on into the introduction, thank you, Lolo. You know, it's a privilege to stand before you, and I know that most of you have been to the Pacific conferences on the other side of the, and I'm standing here as a nephew of Setareki and Dominicere, and the son of Rongosambiu, who the two builders. They built the Andieta, which is the traditional Fijian drawer. They've been housed by your by your museum at the end of the Pacific Conference. And so I'm standing proud to be here to carry on the path they already paved for me. So as for me, if Laura's mentioned in the introduction, I'm the captain of the only sailing drawer in Fiji, and pretty much the only sailing traditional Fijian drawer in the world at the moment. Iwola Singavau, the new rising star. It's a direct replica of the Ratu Finau, which is the Fijian drawer that's been housed by the Fiji Museum. So if you've been to Fiji and you happen to pop into the Fiji Museum, you'll see the last surviving drawer that was built in 1913. It's been housed by the Fiji Museum since 1930 till to date. And so, yeah, obviously our canoe or our drawer or our vaka connects us to the oceans, connects the different islands and culture. They enable us to the ocean is our highway. So most of the people today believe that the oceans is separated us, but with voyaging in our vaka on our canoe connects us to the oceans and connects us to the people that that have sailed before us, and then it also strengthens our ties to the ocean and to our neighboring country that we used to sail and exchange cultures in thousands and thousands of years ago. And the photograph that we've seen is a Tongan double hull canoe. It's called Kalia, and a Fijian Drua, which is the same design. And later on in my presentations, I did a sail to the Lau, which is I'll explain that too. But the Tongan, they call it the Kalia. The Samoan, they call it the Alia, and we from Fiji we call it the Drua, which is the same meaning, the same design. And so of course this is the evidence of the relationship they had back in the days. And so the photograph that you've seen now is actually the different angles on Drua that can sail with one wind direction. So we know as a Drua we can sail directly downwind, but all these angles, all these pictures that we've seen is an angle, points of sail that you can, which a Drua can sail in one wind direction. You may ask, why the traditional Fijian Drua? So our vision, our main vision, is for us to start a navigation school in Fiji where we can teach youth to build and sail their own canoe. That's one of my main vision. And also, to revitalize and bring back traditional culture and traditional canoe building in Fiji waters. And of course, with climate change, the Drua, because we hardly use fuel. So in a way that we can decarbonize and to prove that traditional sailing can be the solution to a sustainable sea transportation, especially with us living in the maritime island around Fiji. And of course, one of our main missions is to recruit more youth to teach them how to build and sail their own canoe. While this playing on, and I've sailed around to most parts of the world, and I've sailed around the Pacific 3 times, and I'm one of the only 2 trained navigators in Fiji. So we navigate without using technology. We only use nature. We only use what you see every day. It's pretty much what you use to guide you to your destinations. So for me, I've navigated from the Galapagos without using technology to Tahiti. It took me 32 days to find Tahiti, and I know I was lost for 2 days before I make my way back on track and find Tahiti after 32 days. But then of course we have to appreciate our past before we strive for the future. And I've explained the Alia, which is the traditional design from Samoa. And 30 plus years ago, my same uncle, Setareki and my dad, they built a tambusoro from Vulanga, where I came from, and then they sailed it to Suva in search of livelihood, with better, hoping to for a better life in Suva. They operate as a small tourist business out in the western side of Fiji. But then when a cyclone hit Fiji in early 2000s, it wrecked the boat and it wrecked everything into pieces, and their dream was lost by then as searching for livelihood. And that's our past. But in 2018, 2019, we were fortunate to have a small grant from IUCN, to develop a training program to teach youth within Suva area and youth that are interested in traditional building. So in 2018 and 19, we designed a training program basically about how to build a drua and all the native timber that are used to build one drua, and the basics about how to sail a drua, and also, of course, the basics about traditional navigation, sailing around Fiji without any technology. And also in 2019, 2020, we had a small grant from the U.S. Embassy to implement the same training program and run it on the western side of Fiji. And 2019, we started halfway during our training program. COVID came and stopped everything for us. So in early 2018, in 2020, when the border was easy up, so we were allowed to move around Fiji. We were set down, as a crew, and as one of the crew. Do you want to sail to the Lau group? And everyone was looking at other, and are you serious? I said, but the orders, the border just opened up. I said, yeah, let's go. So, we asked the U.S. Embassy if we can use the rest of the funding, to sail to the Lau, but mainly, we wanted to do a research in the Lau because there's not much a record of the knowledge and research that's been done on the Drua in the Lau group. And in 2012, we did a research to the Lau, and we found out there was only 28 old people that left in the whole of the Lau group that still hold the knowledge of building in Drua. So in 2012 till today, more than 50% of them have passed on, including my uncle. With only maybe less than 10% that still live today that knows they still hold the knowledge of building in Drua. So we, because the Lau group, with 2012, we went to the Lau because the Lau group used to be the building center of the Central Oceania where the boat builders from Tonga, called the Chafau, and the Lemaki, the boat builders from Samoa, used to settle in the Lau group. They built big druas. They carried more than 500, 200 warriors. And because of the southeasterly trade winds, they came through the Lomai Viti group, and stop in the whole capital of Fiji, Novalau, restock before they sailed across to the Pacific. And there has been a record of the Drua sailing out of the Lau group, where I come from, but hasn't been a record of, there's a story of Drua sailing back to the Lau, but never record, but still a story, but there hasn't been a record, but at least it hasn't been done in over 100 years for Drua to sail back from the main island in Fiji to the Lau group where it all started from the building center. So, in 2012, we call it a homecoming sail, as for us to retrace back that route against the wind into the Lau group to pay honor, seeking guidance and pay respect to our ancestors who sailed before us, and of course, to ask their permission for us to continue their legacy. And then, I've left my island. I grew up in the island, and I've left Pulanga, which is where I came from in 2006 actually. And in 2020, it took me 15 years to find my way back to my home island. And I'm proud that I get to do that on the only sailing Drua in the world at the moment. So we will call it the homecoming sail for that purpose, to retrace the route, to pay respect and ask for the guidance of our ancestors, that's why we do it. And we did it in 7 weeks. 7 weeks, we sail around the island in the Lau group, and I never mentioned that when we're preparing our sail to the Lau, we asked the Fiji Navy, the maritime safety in Fiji, to give us permission to sail to the Lau because it's a traditional canoe that doesn't recognized by the regulations of the maritime. So we asked them for permission, and it was taking time for them to say yes. Well, we end up just going anyway. But we, when halfway during our sail to the Lau, and I was looking for our handheld GPS, and we couldn't find it. I left it at home with all my boxes. But I said, no, we're not gonna tell anyone or put it in a logbook that we don't have a handheld GPS. But we did it in a traditional way because in Fiji the islands are closer to each other. So when the one behind you disappear, before you disappear, the one in front of you just appears. So it was easy for us to sail around Fiji because the islands are so close together. But but in the future, what we're hoping is that we wanted to build a traditional canoe a boathouse where, where we can teach youth to build and sail their own canoe, and train them how to sail their own canoe. So when they finish, they can do whatever they want to do with their canoe, whether they wanted to take it into their, and turn it into a business in a way that can create an opportunity for them. But, in a way that we can, give them, but mostly, what we wanted to recruit is a dropout. We wanted to recruit dropout school youths in Fiji in a way that we can also create an opportunity for them as well. And, and also, what we're hoping to do is that we wanted to bring back traditional canoe building in Fiji, and I'm hoping that in 5 to 10 years' time that I can see more than 100, no, at least more than 50 traditional canoe in Fiji water, sailing around Fiji water and around the island in Fiji. And of course, our partnership, we are fortunate to have a partnership with one of the university in Fiji. So when I get back from after this trip, we're going to do an outreach program around one coastal, around on the western side of Viti, where we have 5 universities that become more focused on the awareness of climate change. So one university, they're going to do outreach program. And also one of the universities, they're going to do, they'll focus on planting more mangroves along the seacoast. And also one of the universities, they're going to be focused on identify the threat in climate change. With the rising of sea level through our community, with the dying of coral around, the coral along the coast. And of course, where the most important one, where the Drua comes in to transport all the delegates participants from the university from one community to another community, and and hoping that our partnership keep on so we can build more canoes and help train them in our community, and also the most important one, how they can maintain it. And so yeah, that's our dream. And you may ask why we end up here. We're here representing our community from all the communities there in the Pacific that have still find it hard for their voice to be heard, and the community from the Pacific that struggling to survive because of the rising of sea levels. We are here to make voice. And also we are here to seek for your support and support us in our dream to start our own school of building in our own respective Pacific island in Fiji, like from Micronesia and Solomons, and of course from PNG. Our brothers from PNG still trying to find his way, but he's still lost. But at least he's finding his way to here. But that's what we're hoping to get out of after this trip, that we can make connection and have a support and extended support from our partnership in a way that we can create opportunity and build more traditional canoe in the future. But I just wanted to share a story about traditional navigations, because it's a Royal Maritime Navigation School where all the navigation system been derived. But the way we do it, we do it in a traditional way. So for me, what I learned, I still owe gratitude to our cousins from Micronesia, because I learned navigations in New Zealand from one of the student of Mau from Satawal, and while we sailing on the 2 years voyage, I was one of the trained navigator. We sailed from New Zealand to the French Polynesia. Took us 29 days. There's 29 days of learning during the voyage, and from the Tuamotu to Marquesas, we had our training, practical training. But when we leave, when we depart Nukuhiva from Marquesas to Hawaii, that's when I did our traditional run on our own. So our instructor left to be on the support vessel, and we have to find Hawaii on our own. So before he jumped on, he said, "Yep, you got a canoe. We've teach you the basics. now you have to find your own way. Try and find Hawaii. So the record of a traditional canoe that sailed between Hawaii and the French Polynesia was 18 days, without using any instrument. So we found Hawaii after 12 days, without using any instruments. When we navigate, we don't use this compass. So as for me, how I measure, I've seen that the compass, the star compass that Mimi and Marios have shown, it's so between the east, north and east, there's 8 equal. We call it house, and each house is measured in 11.25 degrees. So there's 32 houses altogether. So if you add 11.25, times 32, we should come around to 360, which is the same as a compass. As we navigate, as for me, from here to here, that's one house, and that's 11.25 degrees. So I measure my heading. We're using the sunrise, the most important thing. But the most important thing about traditional navigation is for us to know where we come from and to know where we're heading to, know before you depart. Because if you halfway of your journey, if you don't know where you come from, at least you know where you're heading to. But if you don't know where you're heading to, at least you know where you come from, because you can always go back to where you come from. But if you don't know where you're heading to and you don't know where you're coming from, I don't know why you left in the first place. But and so during the way, then you use all the elements that can help to then guide you to your destination. So we use the wind, the current, and of course the most important thing is the sunrise and sunset, because it gives you 2 pinpoint accuracy during a day where you can navigate. So for every navigator, the most important time during a day is the sunrise and sunset, because where you can correct your course if you think you're going off course. It's where it depends on what you're heading and how many houses is your heading from the sunrise and sunset, because you can measure, you can stand from the bow or even from where you normally stand, then you can measure the houses according to where the suns come from to make sure that you're on the right course. And then for us, once I understand how the constellations, the declinations, and what time they rise and once they set, I found it out that using the stars are really easy. Then at sometimes when there's no clouds, when there's no star, when it's forecast for days, we have to identify different angles of the waves, the predominant swell, the wind wave, and all that, so you can feel the motions of your canoe to make sure you stay off course. And if you feel the motion is different, it means you're going off course. During our training, our instructor set us on course, and then he went down to sleep. We were going along. We were laughing out, and then we got carried away. But he was down in the hull, and then he just, all of a sudden the hatch popped up, and he just turned to us and he goes, "Where the fuck you think you're going?" And then he closed the hatch and go back to sleep. And we're just looking around, and it's like, oh, we're going off course, so we have to adjust our course. That's for master navigator, even though they're sleeping in the hull, they can feel the motion which is different. They know that we're going off course. That's how we learn traditional navigation, by measuring the degrees with a calibration to your body, of course, using the sun, all the elements that guide you to your destinations. But so as I conclude, from us, the Drua sailing experience, and all the Pacific Islands that are represented before you today, we wanted to extend our sincere acknowledgement to the Royal Institute of Navigations in the National Maritime Museum, for hosting us here today, and of course, thank you for coming out in numbers so it shows that that we are not on our own. It shows that you support us, and we hope that we'll continue to work together, to help us achieve our dream and what we're hoping for the next generation and for the generation of our generation. So yeah, so from the bottom of our heart, Vinaka Vakaleo, we thank you very much.
We would have time for one question or two quick questions, but just to remind everybody that there'll be a big round of questions anyway afterwards, but right now we for Setareki, so.
Oh, you went against the trade wind back to your home island. To what extent can a druid sail to windward, or do you have to time it and use the knowledge to pick a time when the wind will take you where you want to go?
Yeah, thank you for the questions. Sailing against the wind, it's not an easy thing. Every sailor knows you can't sail against the wind. As for us, what we do, we were going, even though we were going, was closer to the cyclone season in Fiji. We have this season where we have like 8 nights. You call it a bongiwalu. It's 8 nights where you have like strong wind for 8 straight days and 8 straight nights. It's just like southeasterlies, they're blowing. And that's what, what we do is that we wanted to plot our course where we can sail, do island hopping. And then at times, and when I did my predictions, and we call this internet thing the app. So I compare the 3 model on the windy T, and I did my prediction and said, yeah, it's the right time to go because we have we have a little bit of westerlies, and then we decide to leave in the morning, and half day, around midday, I started to notice that the wind was shifting towards south and then southeasterlies, and just before nightfall, it's just like pounding, and we experienced over 2 meter swells, and then the journey that was supposed to take us 6 to 8 hours took us 25 hours because we were going into the wind, but and then after that, and then we decide if because we still have that season, the 8 nights, and we decide to wait out for a little bit, once it come down, the wind direction swing a little bit on our favor, and then we just say, okay, let's go. And so yeah, so we even though we tried to retrace going against the wind, what we did was just to do a zigzag to get to the Lau, and did the whole trip within 7 weeks.